Morning, everyone, and as always, I am your host, Chi-Town Zone, for Thursday, December the 19th, 2019, and as many of you may already be aware, Donald J. Trump, the duly elected 45th President of the United States, has been impeached. But it's no surprise, as many have already predicted, that yes, President Trump will be impeached. But of course, Republicans have gone on to state that Donald Trump will be exonerated of any wrongdoing. But as many of you may already know, it's been reported that Nancy Pelosi is considering delaying sending the articles of impeachment to the Senate for a vote. But of course, a judge has already gone on to state that you cannot do that. But of course, what does she have to hide? Why is she trying to delay the process? I mean, you want to talk about unconstitutional and unfair? It's no secret that what the Democrats are doing is unfair since this entire thing has begun. And don't sit there and tell me that it's with heavy hearts that you guys have to do this. Because many of us heard yesterday as Democrats cheered when the votes were closed. And Nancy Pelosi gave them this look like, no, not here, guys, not in front of the cameras. You can't make this stuff up, guys. I can assure you, this never was about Russia. This wasn't about China. And this certainly is not about Ukraine. This is about the fact that the Democrats know that they cannot beat President Trump. Just look at Al Green's comments recently where he stated that we have to get President Trump impeached by 2020 to prevent him from winning again. And I may be paraphrasing that a little bit, but I'm sure many of you know exactly what I mean. This is the same guy who wanted to add into the article that President Trump needs to be removed in order to end slavery. Can you imagine that? It's the Democrats who cheered when the votes closed. And of course, now nervous Nancy wants to delay sending the two articles of impeachment to the Senate. Well, of course, what do they have to be scared of? Is it because they're going to be forced to testify? Is it because she's going to lose her seat as House Speaker? Is this because they know it's going to hurt their chances going into 2020? Because this is what it's really all about. It's not about Russia. It's not about China, nor is it about Ukraine. There was never any quid pro quo, bribery, extortion, abuse of power, or obstruction of Congress. If anyone is guilty of obstruction, it's the Democrats. Schiff, the Nadler, and the entire squad. Because this entire process has been unfair since it has begun. They refuse to let the Republicans cross-examine the witnesses. They instructed the witnesses not to answer certain questions. They even blocked subpoenas by the Republicans to have Hunter Biden testify. Then, of course, it was just recent where it was Joe Biden who also pledges that he will not testify if subpoenaed as well. If he hasn't done anything wrong, then what does he have to hide? Makes you wonder. But you want to talk about unconstitutional? Yes, this has hurt us big time. This has weakened our Constitution and our country. A house divided cannot stand, and we are a country divided right now over politics, over a partisan sham. And yes, it is sad that it's come to this. But make no mistake about it, President Trump is going to be reelected for 4 more years in 2020. You don't have to take my word for it. And will Hillary run? there's no telling now that President Trump has been impeached. H.A. Goodman and others have talked about this many times before. He's done an incredible job covering this, but one can only wait and see now. But right now, all we can do is wait. But make no mistake about it, when those articles make their way to the Senate, Republicans are going to force a trial. There is going to be a trial, and Democrats are going to be forced to testify. But of course, this is out of Breitbart News, where the article here reads that House Democrats clapped and celebrated after they passed the 2 articles of impeachment against President Trump, despite House Speaker Nancy Pelosi reportedly telling them not to, as she has sought to portray the impeachment as a solemn and sad event. You can't make this stuff up, guys. They all put on this little show about how it's with heavy hearts that they have to do this. They're not sad. They've been trying to impeach President Trump for 3 whole years. You can't make this stuff up, guys. But the article here goes to further read, after the first article on abuse of power passed, Democrats broke out in applause for several seconds before Pelosi shot them a stern look. Many of you probably remember that. They're actually talking about it now. But the article here goes to further read that at least one Democrat shouted, "Yay," according to a Politico reporter. But the article here further reads, after the second article of obstruction of Congress passed, someone again shouted what sounded like "yay." But House Minority Whip Steve Scalise, Republican of Louisiana, tweeted out a video that showed Pelosi giving Democrats the stern look to get them to stop clapping. Nancy Pelosi knows that this is not looking good for her at all. She may no longer be the Speaker of the House for much longer. Democrats know that this is going to hurt their chances going into 2020, and they know it. But of course, I will be leaving links in the description box below where you can read into all of this yourselves. But of course, we're going to continue to do our best to monitor this. But the article further reads, Pelosi reportedly wore black attire since the impeachment vote marked a somber day, as though this was a funeral. The cheering and clapping went against the Democrat leaders planned earlier in the day. Representative Diana DeGette, a Democrat of Colorado who presided over the impeachment debate, said this is a sad and somber moment in our nation's history, and the responsibility to preside over this important debate is something I will not take lightly. Guys, the Democrats don't care. This whole thing has just been completely unfair since it has begun. As I have said, and as Republicans have said, this never was about Russia nor Ukraine. It's just the fact that the Democrats know they cannot beat President Trump going into 2020. Why do you think they were so urgent to push this partisan sham to impeach President Trump with no less than just 10 months away until America goes to the polls again? Because they know they can't beat him. So they had to impeach him. But it just goes to show. But of course, we're going to do our best to continue to monitor this. But with that being said, I urge each and every one of us to continue to pray for President Trump, his family, and his administration. Most importantly, let's pray for this country. And as always, I am your host, Chi-Town's Own. May God bless the President of the United States, and may God bless America. Do stay tuned.